No, sit on a blanket if you want. I'm gonna sit on a blanket today.
There it is.
So let yourself get comfortable, and you know you're more than welcome to stretch your legs out long if you need to, cross your legs if you want to, whatever feels good in your hips. And just shift around a little bit so that you can feel your two sitting bones equally down into the surface you're sitting on. And start to allow your breath now to come in and go out through your nose. Easily accepting your breaths in and out. Let your face start to relax. And just bring your awareness to any place in your body that you might need to just start to release a little deeper. And then let's let our hands come on out beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands right down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse and inhale the hands right up to the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And let's inhale the right arm all the way out and up. Come into an easy little side stretch. You know, your left hand can be on the floor there to give you a little support. Breathe into that side you're stretching. Let it feel good. In other words, don't go so far that you feel like you're struggling. Just let the breath open up between the ribs there. And then we'll come on back up, lower that arm on down. And let's inhale the left arm all the way out and up. And again, just come over a little bit, enough to feel easy in that side stretch. And breathing into the ribs here. And then we'll come on back up, lowering that arm on down beside us. And let's inhale our arms straight on out from the shoulders. Flex your hands for a second. Let yourself feel the undersides of your arms. And then turn your fingertips down towards the ground. And then let your hands come into loose fists and circle your hands around. So coming into your wrists here. Maybe you get some pops and snaps if you're lucky. And then reverse, go the other way. Good. And then bring the hands on out, palms facing down. And let's bring our left arm on top of our right. Give ourselves a little hug here. Let your chin come on down towards your chest. And then roll your left ear a little more towards your left shoulder. Let yourself release there in the right side of your neck. And then come on back down through center and see if you can let the head roll the other way. And then release and come on back down here. And then bring your gaze on back forward. Now you can stay right here, hugging. You can head towards your eagle wrap, sending the backs of the hands maybe towards each other without going all the way, or going ahead and bringing your right hand to your left palm, your right fingers to your left palm if that feels good. And then let the elbows come down, let the arms release, float the arms back out, straight out from your shoulders again. And let's bring our right arm on top of our left and give ourselves a hug. Elbows melt down, chin comes down. Let yourself feel that nice openness there between the shoulder blades. And then roll your head one direction, one ear towards one shoulder, whichever one feels best to you. And then come on back down through center and let your head roll the other way. And then come on back down with your chin. And we'll rise the head on back up. Again, you can stay right here. You can start to release your hands and send them a little towards each other. You can do the half wrap if you want, sliding the back of your left hand to the outside of your right elbow. Or you can come into your wrap, left fingers onto that right palm if you choose. Let the shoulders melt down. Feel that sense of releasing between the shoulder blades on your back. Nice. And then we'll unwind our arms. Bring them on down beside us here. Shake out a little bit. We're going to switch. If you're cross-legged, switch the cross of your legs and bring your other leg in front. If you're not cross-legged, just readjust and sit how you're comfortable. And we'll bring our hands on out again beside us. Take a nice inhale. And on the exhale, let's twist to our right. Bring yourself around. Wake the spine up here with a gentle, easy little twist. Feel that sense of your chin being parallel to the floor here. Doesn't matter whether you look at the wall beside you or turn to look back a little more behind yourself. Now feel your feet on the floor, whatever part of your feet are touching. One more inhale. And as you exhale, come on back around through center and all the way into the other direction. So again, once you get where it's comfortable, set your hands here. Take your time. You can look at the wall. You can think of turning to look more behind yourself if you choose to. But press gently into your feet, whatever part are touching the floor. One more inhale here in your twist. And use your belly as you exhale. Think about your belly drawing you back around into center. And letting your hands again come on out beside you. Let's inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Just take a breath or two there. Feel nice and tall as you lengthen up through the top of your head. And then release your hands on down. And we're going to do little seated cat-cows. Exhaling as we round into the back here. And inhaling as we send our tailbone back and the belly comes forward, the chest. You can look up if you want. So when you exhale, navel draws towards the spine and you feel your tailbone curling forward. And as you inhale, you send your tailbone back a little bit and start to come forward in towards a cow pose, a little back bend. So take your time, keep moving through these little seated cat-cows, feeling that real ease of flowing through your spine here. And it feels really good. Also really wakes up all the muscles alongside of your spine, and your belly is waking up, your low back, your hips. And finish, if you can, in a cat pose. Draw the navel towards the spine, really round into your back there. And then as you inhale, start to sit up nice and tall again. Let yourself lengthen upward. Good. And we're going to come on around and come towards our lunges here now. So you might want to get your blocks. You may decide that you'd like to use a chair in front of you. You may decide you want to use the blocks any height. We're going to step our right foot back and come into our first lunge. So let yourself get set with the length of your stance. Make sure that front knee is bent no farther forward than your ankle. Let yourself enjoy here. Feeling that length in the back of your right leg, but also in the whole back of your body. If you can think about that one long line. Good. We're going to switch legs. So however you like to do that. Take your time. And again, as you get into the length of your lunge that feels good, just be mindful. Remember, you also want a little width in your lunge. You don't want to line your feet up. So you have that little bit of space so it feels good up into your hips. Draw your shoulders down. Let your belly engage a little bit. Good. We're going to switch legs again. So again, how you switch, totally up to you. Once you get into that lunge, you can decide to bring your left hand up to your thigh, or if you're down and pretty low, you might want to put your forearm on your thigh. Just take your time. If not, keep both your hands down. Don't worry about lifting a hand up. And we're going to switch again. So again, be really mindful if it feels good to let that right hand come up to your thigh or forearm up to your thigh, do. Good. And then let's come on forward into standing forward bend. So let your knees bend, let yourself release. Whatever kind of support you need under your hands or your forearms, use it. Remember, you put your elbows above your knees. That lengthens the spine out very easily. You can put your hands on your blocks or on the chair. Just be mindful. Allow your head to hang. Maybe let your head move around a little bit. Nod or shake your head a little bit to really feel that weight of your head. And think about releasing through your neck. Let go of your jaw. Good. One more nice full deep breath here. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our pose. So find your way into mountain pose. If you need to walk a little bit, get your feet readjusted a little bit, take your time. And then for a second, allow your hands to come behind you and let your right hand encircle your left wrist. So, you might have to really deeply bend your elbows to do that. That's just kind of up to you. You want to really get your hand around that wrist. And let the back of that right hand rest wherever it comes to, however long you want your arms to be. And feel what your pelvis is doing. You got your back of your hand right there, so you can tell if you're tucking under or if you're letting your tailbone reach down. Engage your belly a little bit. See if you can come into a couple of three-part breaths. Inhaling into the belly, and then into your ribs, and then all the way up into your chest. As you exhale, imagine the breath coming out of the chest first, and then the ribs, and then the belly. And as we now release our arms on down beside us, float your arms a breath away from you. Turn your palms forward, and really now reach down through your fingertips. And feel as equal as you can now between the sides of your body, even between the front and the back of your body, so there's a sense of being very balanced in your mountain pose. On your next exhale, bend your elbows, let your hands come gently to meet. See if you can connect each of your fingers gently and your thumbs. Have your fingers spread out a little bit, have your thumbs coming in towards your breastbone there. Again, find that alignment of the pelvis. Make sure you're not tucking forward, and make sure also you're not locking your knees. And then we'll unfold our arms back down beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bend your knees as you come on forward into that standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long flat back. Reach back through your tailbone and forward and out through the top of your head. And we'll step the right foot back and come into lunge. So drawing those shoulders down away from your ears. Inhale. And on your exhale, come into your downward facing dog pose of choice where your hands are. You know that. So be mindful. Take your time. Let yourself reach back and feel that length through both sides of your body. Elbows softly hugging in. Doesn't matter whether your hands are on blocks or the chair or the floor. And on your next inhale, come on out towards a plank. You don't have to go into a full plank. You can go to forearms, you can put your knees down, or you can stay back a little bit, right? take your time. If you like to do little push-ups from your plank, you're more than welcome to do that. You can bend your elbows a tiny little bit and stay there for a few breaths. That'll really gets into the arms, the shoulders, really good bicep work there. And then we'll make our way back from here into downward facing dog pose again. So walk a little bit in your dog, bend a knee at a time. You can even let your head turn if that feels really good to release through your neck and let the backs of the legs get a little more open. And then come on back to your full dog, and let's bring our right foot forward to find lunge. And you know you can put your knee down to do that. Whatever works for you to come back into that lunge. Good. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend again. Feet, hips distance apart and parallel. And be really mindful. You know, if your back is bothering you and you feel you need support, use it. You know, sometimes it's just better to keep your back longer. Let yourself feel those full deep breaths. Let your face go. Again, think about your jaw releasing. Sometimes it helps to think of separating your teeth a little bit so you don't feel like you're clenching in your jaw. And then we'll let ourselves bend our knees and bring our hands to our hips. We're going to rise on up and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Let's reverse the arms and inhale the hands right up through the midline. Let the arms be like wings as you open them wide and fold into your standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find that nice long back. And we're going to step left foot back this time, coming into lunge. Draw the shoulders down, engage the belly a little bit, feel your whole length of your body here in your lunge. And we'll come into downward facing dog pose from here. So let yourself reach back into down dog. Feel again that sense of equality in the sides of your body. Let your elbows gently hug inward so that you feel this really good place in your shoulders to be. And then we'll come on out towards that plank again. And again, totally up to you. Half plank, knees down. Go to your forearms, do a forearm plank so you're out of your hands if you want. Feel that strength in the core of the body there. And if you like to do the arm work, you can bend your elbows, do little push-ups. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. And this time, the left foot will come forward to find our lunge. So again, make sure you're solid in that lunge. Feel the whole body there, the length of the spine. Good. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend again. Releasing to where you're comfortable and right to your breaths now. Just follow those breaths very easily. Like there's nothing more important than just watching your breath coming in and going out. And see if you can enjoy the movement through the ribs. When you inhale, the ribs expand in all directions. When you exhale, they release back in. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to bend our knees, press into our feet, and rise on up. Inhale our arms out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And let's unfold our arms down beside us. Clasp your hands behind you here now. And then slide your hands over to the right. Now, if you can, just fold your left forearm onto your low back. If that's too much for your shoulder at all, don't do it. And you can just keep the hands over a little bit to the right. And then, see if you can, if you have your elbow bent like that, squeeze your right palm into your left. So you're really squeezing your hands together. Feel that engagement in your shoulders. Now make sure again that you don't tuck up under here with your tailbone. Let yourself reach the tailbone down. Feel really open across your chest. And then release back down with the hands to center and go the other way. So maybe just a little bit. Or maybe you want to fold your forearm onto your low back. And again, if you can squeeze your palms together, you can let yourself squeeze your palms there. Feel your biceps and your shoulders. Obviously, if it hurts your shoulder, don't do it. And then let yourself release the hands on back down into center now. But longer arms if you can. Feel your shoulders down and away from your ears. And then we'll release the arms on down beside us and inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bend your knees and come on forward again into that standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that long flat back. And we're going to step into downward facing dog pose. So that means you just put your hands on the height you'd like them to be and walk your way back into dog. See if you can hug your elbows towards each other. Take your time. If you like to bend both your knees in dog or to walk a little bit, do. And then we'll come on out again towards that plank. So you can do a back bend here or not. Totally optional to come into any kind of a back bend. You can come through for an up dog or a cobra, or come down and do a sphinx if you'd rather on your forearms. Or don't do a back bend at all. And then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. So take your time. Ease your way into your dog. Move a little bit if you like to. Wag your tail or bend your knees or walk your dog. And then we're going to come out again towards that plank. And again, it is totally optional to add a back bend to it. So if you'd like, you can, or you can stay in your plank. You can move through into a back bend if you choose. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. And from here, we'll let our right foot come on forward and find lunge, however you need to do that, and you know it. And then we'll come all the way on back into standing forward bend again. So releasing, and you know, if you like to go ahead and hang and hold your own elbows, you're more than welcome to do that. And let yourself release to where you can be. Full deep breaths. Again, soft through your face and your jaw. One more breath. And we will bring our hands to our hips and rise on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. So finding your mountain pose, adjust however you need. Find your mountain pose really easily. If you need to sway around a little bit, sway around a little bit, right? Let yourself just really easily start to feel that sense of being very balanced between your right and your left foot. And then once you get that down in your feet, it just kind of comes on up through your legs into your hips, that sense of being very balanced. Up through the sides of the body, into your shoulders even. And then just enjoy feeling your hands together in front of your heart, feeling your feet equal in the floor. And then we'll go ahead and release our arms on down and shake out a little bit. Move around if you need to. You can move through your feet. And I'm going to turn my chair around. We do need our blocks handy. And we're going to come into Warrior Two. So this is a bit like feeling like a bird, this thing. You kind of feel like you have a beak. It's really very odd. But it works. So take your time, bend that front knee, get yourself situated here in your Warrior Two. And then let your front knee bend no farther forward than your ankle. Make sure you're lined up there. And let's just put our fingertips onto the tops of our shoulders. let your elbows kind of melt down. So instead of holding them up, right, they're just melting down towards the ground. And you feel a lot of openness here through the sides of your neck and in the tops of your shoulders, just from feeling like the weight of your elbows melting down. And then just unfold your arms so that now as you turn to look to your left palm, your elbows are still soft and you're looking at your left palm there. Still feeling really soft in your shoulders. And now turn your palms down and start to reach out through your fingertips, reaching equally back through the right fingertips and forward through the left. Coming into that warrior two, looking right out over the top of that left hand. Nice. Let's straighten the left leg out. And now see if you can bend the left knee again a little bit, coming back to warrior two. And then do that one more time. Straighten that left leg out. Feel both feet on the floor, thighs lifting up towards the hips. And now we're going to bring our left hand down for a triangle pose. So as you do, if that right arm wants to keep coming up and up and up towards straight up from your shoulder, you can, or you can put it down on your hip. That depends on your shoulder. So you're lengthened out through both sides of your body, out over that front leg. Thighs are lifting up towards the hips. We're going to bend the left knee. We're going to come on back into warrior two. Feeling the feet in the floor equally again, reaching out through the fingertips. And then bring your hands down, and we're going to turn our feet more parallel for a wide-legged forward bend. So get your feet set as wide as you think. And as you come forward, grab your blocks if you need them, right? So you can have your hands on the floor or the blocks. And then go ahead and bend your right knee and stay there for a couple of breaths, if you can, as long as it doesn't hurt your knee, obviously. And then come back through center and bend the left knee and the right leg is straight, and you're going to stay there for a couple of breaths. Good, and then come on back into center, bend both your knees. See if you can let your elbows come to rest above your knees so that you're really in that squat there where you're reaching back through your tailbone and you have a nice long spine. Let it feel really releasing there. Good. And then set yourself up to be in this pose for a few breaths where you're comfortable. So if you want to use your blocks underneath your forearms, you can stack them up. You can let your hands come down to the floor, back towards between your feet if you like to really release that way. So find where you're okay to be. And then just breathe. Let your breath easily come in and go out through your nose. Nice, full, easy, deep breaths. Good. One more breath. And when you're ready to rise up, remember you can adjust how far apart your feet are if you need to, so that when you come up, it's fine to rise on up to standing and bring your feet together however you need. And we are going to switch to the other side. So, you know, if you need that block there for your triangle, you might want to bring it back if you put it to the front. And we'll go ahead and step our right foot forward, our left foot back, and come on into that warrior two. So again, lining up your heels, lining up that front knee, and let yourself bring your fingertips to your shoulders again, and let your elbows melt down. So really feel that sense of the weight. It really does just open the tops of the shoulders. Good. Now as you take your hands off your shoulders, your elbows are still pretty bent. You're going to turn to look at your right palm. Your elbows are still melting down. So you're still feeling really soft in your shoulders. Now your feet are equal on the floor. You're very solid from the waist down. We're going to rotate the hands, palms facing down, and reach out now through the fingertips. Feel that sense of reaching equally out through each set of fingertips so you feel as open as you can across your chest and your upper back. Good. And from here, we're going to straighten the right knee out. At first, just straighten it. Feel your thighs lifting up towards your hips. And then bend your right knee again and come back into that warrior two. So it might not be much of a bending, right? Take your time. And then straighten that right knee out again. We're going to bring our right hand down for triangle. So if your shoulder bothers you, just let your left hand come on down to your hip. Or you can let the hand come straight up from your shoulder with the arm straight up towards the ceiling if you choose to. Thighs lifting up towards the hips. Legs are straight here in your triangle, and you're really using your legs here. Feel like you're trying to create space in your knees. We're going to bend that right knee. We're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other as we come. And then let your hands come on down. We'll turn our feet more parallel. And again, take your time. Grab your blocks if you want to. Let your feet, once you get your hands down to something, you can decide if you want to change how far apart your feet are. You can bend a knee at a time, kind of play around a little bit with where you're comfortable to be. And then when you're ready, we're really going to bring our focus to our breath here. So get comfortable in how you have yourself here so that the upper body can release. And you can really just follow your breaths all the way in and out, and you don't feel like there's any struggle involved at all. Full, deep breaths. Nice. So one more nice full deep breath here. And before you rise up, remember if you need to adjust a little bit before you come on up to standing, like by bringing your feet a little closer together or anything first, do it. And then once you get up, then you can walk around a little bit, move through your feet and take your time. Good. And we're going to come into warrior one this time. So you do need your blocks back handy there in the front of your mat. We're going to step our right foot back and get into that front-facing warrior where if you have a chair there, you can just put your fingertips on it. That gives you that alignment of your shoulders. But take your time as you get your shoulders square. Get really comfortable in your back foot there on the ground. And then bring your hands together in front of your chest, in front of your heart. Spread your fingers a little bit. Let yourself feel your shoulders over your hips, belly gently engaging, and you're reaching downward here with this top right buttock muscle, right? Down towards your heel. And let's inhale the hands up through the midline. And when we exhale, let them come right back down. So you're going to move with your own breath. Inhaling the hands. When they come up, they go as high as they want. And when you exhale, you let them come back down. So moving at the pace of your own breath and the length of your own breaths. And then the next time the hands are up, leave them there. Let's open the hands a little bit, turn the pinkies towards each other. Bring your gaze up a little bit. Feel that lift in the front of your body. Good. So one more inhale up the front of the body and exhale down the back. And then lower your arms on down beside you. Clasp your hands behind you and maybe just bow your head. That might be enough. If you feel like you want to kind of bow over your front leg a little bit, you can. And if you don't have a chair there to bang your head on, you can fold all the way over if you want. That's up to you. If you want your arms to release off your back, you can do that too. Totally up to you. And then we're going to release our hands down and find lunge. So you may want to use a chair. You may want to use the blocks. Coming into your lunge here. Right heel directly behind your foot. And we're going to twist with our left hand coming on up to our hip. And you can keep your hand right there on your sacrum. You can stretch your arm up if you want to. Take your time. Let yourself be mindful coming into that twist in your lunge. and then we'll bring that left hand back down. We're going to step forward. Come on into standing forward bend. Full deep breaths. See if you can imagine on your exhales, your face just gets softer and softer and softer. And then as we press into our feet, we're going to bring our hands onto our hips and rise up and inhale our arms out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Enjoy your mountain pose for a couple of breaths. Feel that lightness in your head now. That ease in your upper body and the sense of being grounded equally through your feet. And then unfold your arms on down beside you. Shake out a little bit. We're going to do the other side. So this time we'll step the left foot back and come into that warrior one. So again, if you have your chair there, it can keep you honest with your shoulders square. And you can remember, you can widen your stance. If you feel unsteady in a warrior one, if you bring your feet more to the outside edges of your mat, it might be better for your balance. Also, it might feel better in your hips. So take your time, let yourself bring your hands to your heart and feel that midline of your body. And then think about as you inhale the hands up through the midline and you exhale them back down, that you're really strong in the core of the body here. So using again the tempo of your own breath. Again, the next time your hands get up overhead, let them stay. And you can separate them as wide as you want, really. Turn your pinkies towards each other a little bit. You may want to look up a little bit with your gaze, feeling that uplift in the front of the body and that kind of downward flow down the back of your body. Enjoy coming into that warrior one. One more breath. And then we're going to release our arms down, bring our hands behind us and clasp them. And again, you might just want to bow your head. If that's enough, stay right there. Right? That kind of challenges your balance right there. If you want to go further, you can fold over the front leg. You can let yourself release your hands off your back a little bit or a lot. Or not. And then as we let our hands come down to blocks or the chair, whatever you want, or the floor, find your lunge now, reaching that left heel directly behind your foot. And we're going to add that twist of the right hand coming up to the right hip or down, up to your low back if you can face your palm down onto your sacrum do. And you can stretch the arm up if you choose to, or you can keep your hand down. Finding that twist in the middle of the back, reaching back through your inner left heel, and imagine you're reaching forward on that diagonal line through the top of your head. Beautiful. And then we'll bring our hand on back down, and we'll step forward and get our feet right underneath us. Let's go right ahead and bend our knees, press into our feet, and come on up and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And then unfold your arms. Let your feet widen out just a little bit and start to swing your arms side to side. So they actually wrap around you. And you shift, like when you go to the right, you shift more to your right foot. When you go to the left with the arms swinging, you shift more to your left foot. And then you kind of be really easy for your knees. So if you go to the left, that right foot might want to come off the floor a little bit. The heel turns a little. So it's like the hip is kind of following you around in your twist here. Right? You're not trying to, you're really letting it go. Right? And then finish off. Come on back into center. Shake out a little bit. We're going to leave our mats where they are, but I think we have enough room today to do half moon with our back to the wall. So get a block and find a spot at a wall, right? So Linda, now Kathy, you can go. I think you'll fit here, right? Larry, you come over here. And then, yeah, Sarah, can you go back there? So, Larry, you're going to be on that wall right there. All right? Yeah. Oh, you be there. I forgot about it. And we're going to just let our right hand be on our block. Linda, do you fit there? You can use that wall over there if you want. By the fan. There you go. So have your right hand on the block and let yourself bring your block down to the floor and go ahead and release to stand on your right foot and let yourself flex through that left foot and come on into either just using the wall to support you, kind of lay back a little into the wall. You feel your right shoulder into the wall and your right hip. And if you want, you can stretch your left arm up, but you don't have to. Now that left foot is flexed, okay? And the toes are like facing down a little bit towards the ground, right? You don't want to feel like you're trying to open your hip here. There you go. And then come on up out of that. Yeah, it's huge. If your hip doesn't like that, don't do it. You can bring both blocks with you. And when you do your left coming up with the right foot, so you're standing on your left foot, you don't even have to open to the wall. You can stay right here with both hands on the blocks. If you don't want to do the opening back to the wall, don't do it. This is a big hip opener, right? So you can always stay with your hands down, your toes down into warrior three. But if you can open that hip even just for a few seconds, it is a great, also besides being a hip opener, it's a great lengthener for your spine. Yeah, you can use the back wall too, Kathy, which is awesome to be able to put your foot in the back on the wall like that and still be supported behind you. Good. And then come on back up. Good. Nice. And we're going to come back down onto our own mats now. So coming on back and take your time. Let yourself come on down to your belly on the floor. So as you come down and you let your forehead rest on your hands, just start to breathe into your low back. Feel that release as you breathe into your low back. Try to let your legs really release and feel released all the way up into your hips. Good. And then let's come into Sphinx. Let's come onto our forearms and let yourself at first face your palms towards each other. So your pinky fingers are facing towards the ground and your thumbs are facing up. And you can let yourself just be mindful. If this is too much for you, come lower with the body. Bring the elbows more towards your waist. If that feels better, do that. You're still in a back bend. No matter how high you are, it's a back bend. Good. And now go ahead and bring your hands together, clasp them, bend your knees, and come on up into a half forearm plank if you can. So you're on the flesh above your knees, right? You're not lifting back to be up on your kneecaps. You're actually on that flesh above your knees. And imagine you're pulling yourself towards the front of your mat. So actually pull yourself forward a little bit and let yourself engage your belly there. And that's a lot of work going on right there. One more breath. And then release back down. Let yourself then bring your forehead to the floor. Stretch your right arm out beside you. Straight out from your shoulder on the floor. And then go on down to your palm. Let yourself stay for a breath there. And now be really careful with this one. If you can bring your left hand in like you're doing a push-up, you're going to press into that left hand and roll a little bit onto your right side. So you can pick the left foot up and kind of let it come a little over the right foot or even behind. If you want, you can bend your knee and put the foot on the floor behind your foot, behind your leg. But you might not want to do that, right? Be where you can. And then come on back down to center. And we're going to switch to stretch our left arm out. Right hand comes in like you're doing a push-up. And then again, as you press a little bit, you'll know. Keep your head on the floor so you're not tensing up your neck. You'll know. If you don't want to go very far, don't go very far. If you like to bend the right knee and put the right foot on the floor behind you, you can. Opening through the front of your chest here. And then come on back again, back down into center. And let's release our arms down alongside us. Turn your palms down towards the floor. And inhale up into a little locust pose. Let yourself reach back through your fingertips and your toes. Imagine you're just floating there. Good. And then let's release down. And we're going to stretch our left arm overhead and roll onto our left side. Now, as you do, if you know that left shoulder does not let you have your arm overhead like that and lay your head on it, don't do it. Bring the arm down if you need to. Put a block under your head if you want to, or a blanket. It would be even more comfortable. And now, flex through your right foot and your left foot, but let your right foot draw up a little bit away from, like you're standing in mountain pose. So your feet are a little apart, but they're parallel. And then feel your belly engaging. See if you can bring your right hand up to your right hip if possible. Good. And then turn your right toes up a little bit because we're coming in like we're doing tree pose. Bring your right foot in either to rest on the inside of your left calf or up higher if you want. You can bring that foot up higher. You can even use your hand to help you a little if you want. And you can keep your right fingertips on the floor here. Or, you can stretch your arms up overhead if you like, or put your right hand on your hip. Just be mindful. Let it feel good for a second there. And then if you want, let your right knee come in towards your right shoulder, and your right hand is pulling that knee in towards your shoulder a little bit. You don't have to do this part. And if you like to extend the right leg up long, you can rotate that heel forward and come into that side-lying yoga pose. Only one there is, really. You don't have to have the leg long to do it, though. You can just feel that hip releasing by feeling like you're in a side-lying tree pose, right? And then we're going to stretch the leg back long. We're going to come on back onto our bellies through center. Come into a little sphinx pose there for a couple of breaths. Let yourself release there. And then we're going to release down so we can roll right to the other side. So again, get like you're in mountain pose. Flex the feet. Feel that sense really of having the feet right underneath you. So you don't want to be like a banana, right? You want to have your legs right under your hips. You're engaging your belly. If you can put your left hand up on your hip, do. And you can press into the outside edge of your right pinky toe. Now bringing that left foot up for what would be like a side-lying tree pose. You can put the foot on the inside of your calf. Or, you can bring it up higher if you want to. Let yourself keep pressing into the outside edge of that right toe. Good. And now, this is optional. Bring in your left hand to your left knee to draw the knee up and in towards your shoulder a little bit. If it doesn't feel like a relief, don't do it. Of course, if you want to stretch it long, you can. You can extend the leg up long. You're thinking of rotating that left heel a little forward. It's outward hip rotation, but this is also a big core body pose. You're using your core strength to not fall over backwards, actually. And then go ahead and release. Let the leg come on back down long if it's not already. We're going to roll back to our belly again. See if you can, again, release your arms down alongside you. And then inhale, float up into that locust pose again. Really just feeling that sense of floating gently. And then we're going to release down and come back towards child's pose. Now, how you get into child's pose and how far you get into child's pose, totally up to you. So you can stay forward onto your forearms, have your hips up higher. If you want to roll a blanket and put it behind your knees, sometimes that can be really a more comfortable way to be in your child's pose. You can make a pillow with your hands if you want. Rest your head. Or put your forehead on the floor. Arms can be overhead or back alongside your legs. And now be with your breath. And see if you can bring your inhales into your low back. So when you inhale, the low back expands. Good. One more nice full deep breath. And then let your hands come back by your knees. And we're going to come on up and we're going to bring our legs on around to sitting. So you know if sitting is better done for you, up on a blanket, grab a blanket. You might need blocks too. Have blocks handy here. We're actually going to use the blocks in a second, but sitting up and bringing your legs out now in front of you. So letting your legs come long in front of you. And you can use the blocks for this if you want. We're going to come into a seated forward bend. So you can put blocks underneath your knees like that if you feel like that's better for you when you think about coming forward, right? So if you know your low back and your hamstrings are tight, use support like that. If you're fine to release your way forward because that's the way you're built and that feels fine to do that, then do. So that as you come forward though, you come forward from your low back, right? So you let yourself feel that length and the low back almost comes forward first. And then once you get as far as that feels good to be, you can go ahead and let your head hang. I mean, some of you might want to reach for your toes. If you give yourself time, your body might give it up a little bit and you might be able to get farther forward. Just watch your breath. Good. One more breath here. And then let yourself come on up. Bring your hands behind you and let your chest drop forward, your shoulders drop back a little bit, coming into opening up through the front of the body. And only look where it feels good for your neck. You know, look forward if you want. Look up a little bit. Just don't do anything that feels miserable in your neck. I mean, some of you might like to stretch your throat out and look up more towards the ceiling. And then we'll come on back up, take a nice inhale here, and on the exhale, let's twist to our right. Bring your right hand around behind you, left hand over towards your right knee. Let yourself lengthen up through the top of your head. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come on back around through center. We're going to go all the way into the other direction. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come on back around into center. And now, walk your feet up and let yourself bring the soles of the feet towards each other. You can put blocks underneath your knees for Baddha Konasana if you want. Right? That's up to you. If it feels fine to let your knees kind of hang in space. Just remember, if you feel like you're tensing up your hips, like if you let your knees hang and that makes you feel like you're tensing up, then use the blocks underneath them so that it feels like you can instead really release in your hips. You're still lengthening up through the top of your head. And you can sit right here and just be happy. You don't have to come forward at all. If it feels good, you can allow yourself to release a little forward with that long back. And if not, don't do it. Stay sitting up tall. Good. So one more breath here. Take your time. Come on up. And you can use your hands to help your knees back up. Stretch your legs out. And I'm going to show this, and this is optional. And if you're like, there is absolutely no way I'm doing this, don't do it, okay? Blocks to be supporting you. It's a supported fish pose, okay? So if you have your blocks on your mat with the one that's going to go under your shoulders, this way, the lowest height, and turned like so that the long way goes towards the edge of your mat. And you come down on this thing, all right? Then you also come down with your head. Now, some people like the block up higher. Some people like it lower, right? So you're gonna let yourself, now you can do anything you want with your legs, right? They're there, you gotta do something with them, obviously. You can stretch them down long, you can bend your knees, you can come back into that Baddha Konasana. But you've got this under your shoulder blades, and this is the tricky part. Some people like it a little bit higher. Some people like it a little bit lower. So like right now, I can hook the tips of my shoulder blades on that block. So that's where mine is. But sometimes I like it higher than that. Like, in fact, right now, that kind of feels good to bring it up higher, right? So it is a supported back bend. We're only going to stay here for a little bit. So if you're like, oh my gosh, I can't even stay here for a little bit, don't, right? And if you think that if you change the height of the block a little bit that it would help, try that. It can be the same thing with your head block, the block under your head. You may want it to be higher, you may want it to be lower. So sometimes changing that block makes a big difference too. If you can bring your arms out beside you a little bit and turn your palms up, then you can feel this openness across your chest. And you can breathe into those three-part breaths, inhaling into the belly, and then the ribs, and then up into your chest. And when you exhale, you feel the breath coming out of the chest, and then the ribs, and then the belly. So if you're miserable, that's not the point of this. So if you feel really comfortable to stay a few more breaths, do. If you feel like you need to come out of this right now, then you can let yourself either kind of roll to the side a little bit to come up, or you can come straight up if that feels good. Just be mindful, yeah. Getting up is the hardest part, really. So once you get the blocks out from under you, you're going to come right back down onto your back on the floor, all right? And you might just let your knees bend when you do. Let your feet be on the floor. Let yourself just release. Feel how you feel both in the front and the back of your body. Good. And then bring your right knee into your chest and let your left leg extend down long on the floor. Flex through both your feet. Let yourself enjoy. And then let your right hand be on your right knee and put your left hand on the top of your left hip and draw your right knee over towards the right, like you're drawing it up towards your shoulder a little bit too. Let yourself find that outward hip rotation. And then bring the knee back into center. Let your left hand come over to reach the right knee and stretch your right arm out beside you. And let's draw the knee across into a twist. It doesn't matter how far you go. You go as far as you want, letting yourself take your time. If it feels good to extend that right leg out longer, you can. If it feels better to keep the knee bent. You know, and if you don't want to keep your hand on the knee, don't do it, right? Be mindful. Let it feel really easy. The twist feels good. And one more breath. And then we'll release back into center, bringing that knee back into center. And let's bring the left knee in. Let the knees come a little side to side here. And then put the right foot on the floor and start to extend the right leg down long. So flex through both your feet. Feel the left leg gently coming into your hands. And then let your left hand be on your left knee, right hand on the top of your right hip, right on your hip pointer bone really, and open the leg to the left. So you're drawing that knee gently towards your armpit, kind of, right? And just breathe. And then come on back to center. Let your right hand come over to your left knee. Stretch your left arm out on the floor beside you. And again, as you bring the knee over, it is totally up to you. How far you go, whether you want to keep your hand on that knee. Maybe you want to stretch the left leg out long. Just be mindful. Take your time. One more breath. And then when you're ready, bring the knee on back in. Let's bring the right knee in as well. And then just send your legs up in the air and go ahead and do a little bit of back and forth with your legs like you're cross-country skiing on the ceiling. Or, you know what, you might even want to open your legs out wide a little bit and close them. If any of you want to do these little X's with your feet, you can cross one ankle in front of the other and then switch and do the other ankle in front and then open your legs wide. So sometimes that feels really releasing. After a few, maybe release isn't quite the word for it, but if it feels good, anything. You want to do a bicycle, do a bicycle. You want to do a happy baby pose, do a happy baby pose. You want to do something else? Let your body do what it feels like it wants to do right now. Take your time. You may need to do another hip release of some kind. Well, if you need another twist, do it. I'm going to start to get light. And then I'll start to head around and see about bringing anything that's going to help you to release a little more easily. So, you know, whether it's a bolster, if anybody needs a blanket, or you can always roll a blanket up to put behind your knees, or you can also put a blanket under your head, remember, especially if you feel like when you lie back, that the back of your throat shortens because your chin lifts up a little bit. I'm going to grab some bolsters and start to walk around, and all I need is a sign from you. Like you want to have a bolster underneath your knees. So take your time, let yourself just enjoy lengthening up, out, through your body, feeling your arms and your legs on the ground. And if you're not comfortable, go ahead and change where you have your arms, your legs. If your head needs to roll a little bit side to side, just get yourself easy. Feeling that support. And then just watch your breaths. Easily coming in and going out. And there's nothing you need to do in order to breathe. In In fact, if you tried to stop yourself from breathing, you just pass out and start breathing again, right? So you're just going to receive your breaths as they come in and go out and accept them like you would if you were watching the waves, the beach coming in and going out. And as those breaths start to relax the body, and they will, when you keep coming back to them over and over, you realize too that your mind is starting to be less busy. So just give yourself the gift of these few minutes and allow yourself to completely and fully relax. feeling the ground underneath you again. Allowing your breath to start to deepen and lengthen. So you feel the breath coming in and going out more fully and deeply. And when you start moving, let your body move the way you need. You can start to move through your arms and legs by stretching or bending. You might want to let your knees come side to side. Just take your time. You know you're welcome to roll onto either your right or your left side. If that's good for you, you can let yourself be in a soft fetal position on your side to give yourself a little time to adjust. And of course, be really easy when you start to make your way up to sitting. So it feels really like you're floating your way up, and adjust yourself how you need to sit so your hips feel good, and sit on a blanket if you need to, if that helps you be more comfortable. But let your eyes close again once you're seated if they opened on the way up, so you can still stay internally focused a little bit longer, so you can watch your breath. Enjoy having your head up there again, up on top. And on your next exhale, allow your hands to gently come to meet in front of your heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste.
Namaste.
Happy Monday.